Hey guys, welcome to this week's Tarot and Astrology Forecast. This is for the week of Sunday, October 3rd through Saturday, October 9th. If you don't know me yet, my name is Valentine Lister, and I'm going to walk you through all of the energy for this week with looking at the astrology transits, and then I do a tarot card reading at the end. I might pull some cards for the transits. We'll see what's brewing. But before I get into that, I just want to make an announcement for you guys about the discount that I have for booking a reading with me. For those of you who have been interested. So I offer a birth chart reading that looks over some transit forecasting for you guys. I also offer tarot card readings, and I offer a combination of the both. But the reason I'm even bringing it up is because I have an awesome discount until the end of the year, where you can save $20 off of your first reading with me. Super exciting. So you can get that discount by using the code 20 bucks. You can go on my website to book a reading. I'll put that info in the description box below underneath the timestamps. And that discount for $20 off is good until the end of the year, until December 31st, 2021. All right, guys, so without further ado, let's get into this week's transits. So with the first transit that we have, we are doing that revisiting, that retreat, the reflection, because we're going to have Mercury trine Jupiter again. Now, if that sounds familiar, we just had that transit. Mercury is going reverse back over that to revisit that lovely moment because it was a beautiful energy. So put on your thinking caps of what happened right before that full moon in Pisces on September 20th. What was the energy? What was going on? What was happening for you? Because that's coming around again for today at 7:36 p.m. So hopefully that means you'll have a lovely evening, because I found it to be a beautiful energy. It was kind of like struck me as, the energy of planning to do nice things for other people, which was like a really cool energy because we had Mercury, right? The practical planner going into aspect with this nice, beautiful Jupiter that is all about like faith and friendship and abundance and like good feelings working together. So it was really like this energy of working together with others in like the spirit of friendship, love, and even some teamwork. So I have some stories of what happened that day, and I want you to share your stories too about either what happens today or what happened like around that full moon on September 20th. What was going on? Okay. Kind of embarrassing, but I was in like an argument with my husband. Apparently when you're married, you argue like all the time. You get into like, I'm just realizing that now, like I'm married. I'm remarried. My husband's since 2018, we've been remarried. Love of my life. My husband is the love of my life, but we argue like quite frequently. We have a passionate relationship. And first of all, with that Mercury in Libra, it's like, do we really have to be fighting all the time? And that's like a theme that will be throughout this week. Like for all of you guys, do we really need to fight about it? Do we really need to argue about this thing? Because it's making life like kind of funky. Like, so we were arguing about like a big issue, something that I'm having trouble letting go of, something that he does, like a bad behavior that my husband does. And I was so mad at him. He did something that I was just like, so mad, pissed off, right? And usually I'd fight, usually I would bring it up, usually, I'm pretty feisty, so I let like my opinion be known about things. But it wasn't working anymore. And I'm so tired of going through this argument and this situation. I just really was in the mindset of I don't want to deal with it anymore. So the day that Mercury was trining Jupiter, I was like, I want peace. I want peace. I'm so tired. I was so upset about the situation. And so what I'm doing isn't working, but I don't feel peaceful. I hate him and I don't want to deal with him. And I wish I was like thinking all of these bad things that I wish would happen because I was so mad at him. I have a really bad temper sometimes. So I was like, well, I can't approach this situation peacefully. That's just not genuine. It's just not how I feel. So I made a choice. I talked to one of my good friends and she said, well, you can't completely change the situation, but you can choose to create peace. Because I said I wanted peace. So she said, we'll do that. Okay. because I do want peace in the situation. And so I came up with a game with myself, and we're thinking about Mercury and Libra, and Mercury is all about games, right? So I created this game. I said, I'm not going to say anything mean, meaning I'm not going to say what he did to hurt me. I'm not going to say all of the things that I think he does wrong. I'm not going to say anything that I know will hurt his feelings, right? To get back at him or to point out to him what's wrong with him, like, right? And now I'm realizing, that stuff is all from the ego. So I decided, just don't say anything mean. You don't have to feel peaceful, but you just play this game of not doing that. And it was a lot harder than I thought. I'm a lot meaner than I realized. I didn't think in the situation that I was a mean person, that I was in the wrong. But as I sat with that, and as I sat with all the stuff that came up about him that I wanted to say, I was like, damn, maybe I'm a little bit meaner. Maybe I'm contributing more to this argument than I realized. And so, I've been meditating. I've been pretty good at being able to right, and have some discipline about things. And I didn't say anything mean. I was able to stick with that. And what happened also was that if he said something and I just didn't want to do it, or, or I didn't want to argue or whatever, I came up with creative solutions. With not continuing that argument or continuing that situation. I didn't do anything that I didn't feel like doing, but I also didn't argue about it. So I had to find a creative solution about how to get out of the situation. So I found myself joking with him, making jokes. If you said something that I was mad about, because he's a Gemini, he likes to push my buttons, so if he pushed my buttons, I had to be like, okay, and just, maybe not say anything, or, oh, I have to go do something. I'm busy, right? So this is super Libra. This is super Mercury and Libra energy, but it's Jupiter, also Jupiter in Aquarius, and Aquarius traditional ruler is Saturn. So having that discipline, and having it flow really well with this discipline of doing something that's going to be helpful in the bigger picture, in the spirit of friendship, in the spirit of teamwork. I am married to my husband. I do love him, so I do want it to work out. And it ended up being a fun experience. And what I noticed with just doing that exercise, not trying to be nice because that's fake, right? If we just try to be nice for the sake of, just because that's the right thing to do, because that's fake. But what was real was, okay, I can choose not to say things that are mean, set the bar real low. That was a really low bar I set for myself. And just doing that one little game with myself, one little exercise, my anger started to go down. I started to observe and see what was going on a little bit more. I started being kinder to my husband, and the situation just turned around so fast. And it's the best game ever, and I'm still playing it. Some days it's a little bit harder than others. It really depends on the energy. So that was my Mercury trine Libra experience. And that's a good example of what Mercury does, playing games. And Jupiter is with the trine there. Jupiter loves games too. It loves experiencing things. So coming up with a plan and really involving yourself, throwing yourself into that experience and just seeing what happens and seeing what wisdom can come out of that. So that was really cool. Then the other situation, was that I brought my daughters to go get their flu shot, and I have 3, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm bringing them all at the same time. So that means if one person gets a shot and starts crying, it's complete chaos in the doctor's office. But I was like, well, it's kind of hard to bring 3 at 3 different times. So I was like, okay, we're going to try this. So we're on the way to the car. I always tell my kids ahead of time when I'm going to bring them to the doctor and get a shot, because I don't want to just bring them there and surprise them. I want them to be prepared, and then you can get whatever treat you want afterwards, because it sucks to go, have to get these shots. So I talked to my oldest daughter, and she started freaking out. And I said, if you freak out, the rest of your sisters are going to freak out too. So be brave. I have the Aries moon. So I'm like, be brave. And she was talking to her sisters. She's 9, the other one's 7 and 3. She said, it's going to be okay. It's not that bad. It just pinches for a short time and you're going to be fine. And the other ones were a little scared, but they started being braver. And then we get to the doctor's office, and my 7-year-old, she feels so good that she volunteers. So that was it was the Mercury Jupiter, just pretend and play a game in a Libra-like way that everything is going to be fine for the greater good, for our group, for our family, right? to make them feel good and to make them feel confident about it, and going into this situation. Now, what happened was my 7-year-old volunteered, she got the shot and she started crying. And then everybody else cried. It was chaos, but we got through it. And at the end, right, it was very Mercury, Jupiter. I told my daughters I was proud of them, that no matter what happens, they got through it and they did it and they were brave. So it was really this beautiful, like, we had to come up with a plan. We had to do this thing together, and connect in teamwork. And so it did combine like this practical, and also like the mystical of like, we don't know what's going to happen and we just have to be in the experience, and really find like joy in things that are maybe not so joyful, because it is Jupiter and Saturn in like responsibilities that we really don't want to do. So think about your stories around like that September 20th, and that is the energy that's coming around again. You probably already are feeling it, because it's happening today on Sunday, but it's going to perfect, and be, that means it's going to be the strongest and exact about around 7:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you're going to revisit that. You're going to have a situation that looks at that again. That's like this feel-good spirit, but it also might have this feeling of stoicism, that I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to pretend that I'm at peace, or play a game that I'm at peace, because I want to keep up the faith and keep up the optimism and the good feelings, in a Jupiter way, you know, for a group, like for my family or my friends. And it's really like this like selfless, like sacrifice energy, but it feels good. It doesn't really feel like a sacrifice. And so on the one different thing that's going to be happening. So last time it was a full moon. So today for Sunday, we're going to have that balsamic moon in Virgo. And so even more, and this really tones the week, I think, balsamic moon in Virgo. So is going to be asking you to look at the light and the dark aspects of life. So I brought up some things where there was some light and dark. Go and bring your kids for a flu shot. There's some light and dark there, right? It can protect their health, but it's also pretty dark. Not fun at all, giving the kids a shot, and also fighting with my husband over something very light and dark. So that balsamic moon, it's all about a death and letting go. The light is closing down and going away out of the moon as the moon wanes. And so we're going to look at the light and dark aspects of life, and that moon is asking you to make peace with it and let go. And you may have difficulty. So if you are having difficulty in letting go in some like practical area of life that you have to figure out and plan for with Virgo, or if you have trouble with accepting either the light or the dark, sometimes we have trouble with accepting the joy and optimism. And that's going to actually a theme coming out with the week too. If you don't make peace with it, you may struggle with the letting go and may be irritable and feeling kind of dark during the balsamic moon. But if you're able to let go, you're going to find a sense of peace and meaning in life and this feel-good energy. And I do think that Mercury trine Jupiter is going to help you assist with letting go. Okay, so we have a big event coming up. We have the new moon in Libra with Mars Cazimi. So let me walk you through this. So a new moon is considered a new start when it comes to the moon. It's a new moon cycle, and it's a time where the sun and the moon eclipse. So every month there's an eclipse, but it's not the same as like a full moon eclipse, right? It's the new moon, so the moon has no light. It's a dark moon, and it represents that we can't see what's coming. We don't know what's ahead. So it's a time to wonder and dream about the future. Some people say set intentions. I'm not big on setting intentions or manifestation anymore. I think what's needed to happen is going to happen. I think the universe knows us well enough to know what we need, and we have no clue. From my experience, we ask for things we don't even realize. Okay, so it's a new moon, it's a new start in Libra, right? And so that can mean in Libra, the sign of Venus, can mean a new start in like friendships, legal matters, relationships, like a social area of life. And it really depends on, where it is in your chart as well. And so improving some life, some part of life where we also want to see like beauty through justice and fairness in life. So, and in our environment, in our life, like our life path moving forward. But this is going to be interesting. It's going to be Mars Cazimi. So what is Cazimi? So Cazimi means that there's a planet right in the middle of the sun, like by degree, it's in the middle of the sun. And so it's kind of like this king in a courtroom holding up this planet as its special guest, or it's like the belle of the ball. So it's going to be this like perfect, purified version of Mars in Libra. So on that day, about 7:05 a.m., we are going to have that new moon with that Mars Cazimi. And the Cazimi is going to come up again with Mercury. So this is like super important. So in Hellenistic traditional astrology, when a planet gets near the sun, it's kind of not the greatest. The sun can like overtake the energy and overshadow that energy. So meaning there are some surprises. So I didn't bring up the under the beams before. Sorry guys, not always like the most important aspect. But so if for example, Libra, like or Mars in Libra under the beams, for example, the other thing was like if I was strategizing, like don't say anything mean, but my husband doesn't know about it. So that's kind of a secret thing that I was doing. That's very Mars in Libra, like fighting for peace, fighting for harmony. Or there's like, there could be a lot of times with Mars and Libra, like I'm seeing like accidents happening or, so it's like an unexpected event, yada, yada, right? But when the planet comes center, it's like purified with that energy. It's being acknowledged by the sun, acknowledged by the king. And so with the new moon, this Mars in the center takes on a new important. We can't just ignore it. We have to really pay attention to what this energy means. And so with Mars in Libra, I think it is also taking action in a new way. It's coming up with a strategy that's like peaceful, pleasant, and fun. And it's also rethinking how we're taking action. And there's this need for peaceful action. So Mars in Libra likes to fight for peace, right? And fight in a peaceful way. Mars in Libra loves people, wants to enjoy life, wants peace. And so we'll do things to create like this beautiful environment. And so will maybe assert itself in a creative way. So like a famous person with Mars in Libra is like Tori Amos, right? And she asserted herself through her music. And I think about her music and how many like lives it saved. So, I was like a depressed teenager and like I listened to her music and I remember her and my friends, we would like listen to her music and just be pulled out of the depths of our darkness because her music was so cathartic. It voiced our pain through art so well that it made me feel better. It made me feel understood. And so that's the power of Mars in Libra. And one of my daughters also has Mars in Libra. And she has this peaceful, like pleasant energy. Like she's not aggressive, but her presence and her Mars, like the way she takes action is very powerful because she takes action in a way that's very like Venusian, very pleasant, and makes us realize like we don't need to be fighting all the time. There is another way to look at things. There is a way to be peaceful. And so we can change our approach in a way that brings peace in the world, but it's like taking that action in a purposeful way. So I'll give you an example. Like we're in Mars and Libra season, so we're going to see a lot of the Mars and Libra. And so here's Mars and Libra. I was listening to the radio station Z100 and the guy was talking about how the whole thing of feminism with someone holding the door, like a guy or whatever holding the door. I think he was a guy, whatever, but someone opens the door and it's like, well, I can open the door for myself. And the guy on the radio station was saying like, do we really need to be arguing about that? Like someone's intention was to be nice to us. Like they're just doing something nice, right? Do we really need to get in their face and like argue with them and yell at them for like opening the door and doing something nice? And that's what we really need to consider. Like when we have Mars and Libra and we have that new moon, all this, and then Mercury is like co-present with this new moon, right? So, and it's going to be coming up later. Like like think about our actions, reflect on our actions, and what is the results of that action? And can we put our personal feelings aside to have peace and beauty, and do it intentionally in a way that creates a more that creates more faith in people, that creates more love for people, that creates curiosity itself. It's like, looking at a person and not automatically going to that person's intention is bad or it's hurting us, but going to it with curiosity, going to it with faith that people are both awful and amazing. Like, we have these light and dark aspects to us. We have them back and forth, right? And Libra can see all of these aspects and can see beauty in it, can see like this coming together. So they also brought up the thing of like someone ordering for someone at dinner, or spouse or something ordering for somebody, right? And it's like, could it annoy you? Would it annoy me? Maybe, right? But can we put our feelings aside because of the intention that what somebody did was nice, and not make it a big deal? And how hard is that? I mean, even sit with your feelings and think about like these scenarios, and how hard is it when those situations come up and how much you want to fight? How hard was it when I was talking about that other, Mercury trine Jupiter moment, when I wanted to fight with my husband, I wanted to tell him what I think, I wanted to fight for myself, right? But I chose not to, right? And so number one, if you're choosing not to, that's power, right? That's empowerment, because we still have Venus in Scorpio, so we still have that like empowerment type energy. But we still have a choice. We have a choice whether to fight or whether to step back and reflect on it, and reflect on all of the aspects of that situation and see beauty in the dynamics of what happened and the complexity sometimes of what's going on within us and with what we see and what we're making of what we see. Because we have all these different choices of how to act. And so just playing a game with, like, even in that scenario of not saying anything mean, right? So someone opens the door for you, and maybe you don't want them to. I want people to open the door for me. I want to be treated like a princess, but that's another story. But someone opens the door for us, and we didn't necessarily want them to. And to take a step back, and it's like, can we play the game of not saying anything mean to the person? Maybe we say thank you. Maybe we go throughout our day and not say anything. And then we sit with that discomfort and we kind of play with it. And we see what we're made of, and we see what's going on, and we see where that's coming from. Because remember also that, Venus rules Libra, and that new moon is going to start out with Venus in Scorpio, which is putting yourself in uncomfortable positions in order to create more beauty and harmony and peace and loveliness in the world. And also remembering that loveliness, like, a lot of times we think of Venus energy as very surface level, and that really makes me mad. I don't think it's fair to the goddess Venus and how powerful she can be. Because again, like I brought up, like Tori Amos and her music, there's power in beauty. There's power in choosing to look at the beauty in life at the surface level, and not being so deep in the depths of darkness. And so I'll bring up like an example of like the power of Venus. So, I mean, yeah, even in that example, like the power of Venus, the power of music to lift you out of the depths of your despair, that I felt like saved my life, like listening to a beautiful song. I remember there was a Venus transit. It was actually in Taurus, but it was still like a similar thing of, I remember I was like having another fight with my husband. Here we go again. But I remember that day there was a Venus and Taurus transit, and I remember I was about to say something and respond to him, and then I looked at the sky and it was so beautiful, it took my breath away, and it made me feel like everything in life was going to be okay. And so you can think of Venus as this soothing balm that makes life pleasurable while we're here, that helps us to experience pleasure and feel a lightness of heart that's very much needed, considering all of the things that we've gone through in the past couple of years, where we've had to look at some really dark places and continue to be in that energy. And so it's a powerful choice to embrace life, enjoy it, find peace, find beauty and pleasure in it anyway. And so it's kind of like, we might be sitting this week with some dark energy. I'm getting into October 7th. But we're going to change, and the change is going to be a joyful change. And do we have the courage to accept joy in the lighter side of life and to embrace life and to have some fun? Well, that's the question when Venus ingresses into Sagittarius that we'll be wondering about. Because Venus in Sagittarius is telling us, and it's coming right after this new moon, right? The new moon happens, right? We have that Venus in Scorpio. Then Venus is going to change into Sagittarius, and that's going to be ruling this Libra Sun, Libra Mercury, and it's time for some fun for a change. And we'll tone the rest of the Mercury retrograde period, right? Since Venus, again, rules Libra. So this is asking us to reflect on our experiences that we've had and the value and the wisdom in all of them. Nothing gets left out, nothing nasty, nothing dark, nothing good or bad gets left out when it comes to Sagittarius and Jupiter energy. It is all meant for a higher purpose because Sagittarius is the sign of alchemy. It's the sign of changing things into gold. And so I'm the Sagittarius sun and rising and Mercury. And, but I have Jupiter and Scorpio, so I have a depressive side to me, a very emotional side. None of that is going to change the fact that at the end of the day, I will persevere. I will find the silver lining in whatever experience happened. I will transform and change it into something, some type of higher purpose and learning and wisdom. It will never crush my spirits. That's the Sagittarius energy. That's what Venus and Sagittarius can do. And so it's also asking us not only to look at the wisdom in our experience, but the beauty of connecting with others, connecting with life, and getting down and dirty and having fun and getting a little bawdy and rowdy. Sagittarius is associated with that body centaur energy. But it also finds wisdom in going through all of these places. And then right after Pluto goes direct, so we're really moving forward and ready for a change. And it was weird, going into the energy of this week, it was kind of hard for me to summarize it. Like last week, the energy was just so clear. It was like party time, right? And this year it's like, what is this all about? But Pluto's going direct that same day. And it says it's time, again, like I spoke about earlier, it's time, we're ready for a change. We're ready to move forward. But a lot of times we think of change and transformation as like dark and painful. And it has been that for sure. And there's times where that is going to happen for sure. But this is also asking us to look at the transformative power of fun, laughter, being spontaneous, being creative, and joyful in choosing to embrace the lighter and the fun part of life, regardless of circumstances. So regardless what's happening, and even the worst of circumstances, you can choose to just enjoy life, laugh about it, do your own thing, right? In that situation that you've been given, be okay with it and not feel responsible. So, talking about for me, example, dealing with addiction in my life, people who are addicted to drugs or alcohol, unfortunately, a part of my life, right? And so you can fight with that person who's addicted to that substance forever and try to make them see and point out. You can have the, top-notch legal argument for them and why they should change, and they won't change unless they want to, and you're gonna make yourself miserable. And so I found for me, in this Venus and Sagittarius energy, that I can actually choose to be happy. I can choose to just have fun and play with the situation, be kind to that person just because, and let go. So it's really this energy of letting go, but finding joy and finding freedom and finding playfulness. So I've come to the point where I'm not responsible for anybody's actions. I'm responsible for me and my choices, right? But that doesn't mean, right, that I have to disconnect from that person. It doesn't mean that Saturn-like energy of we cut everything out of our life, right? This is Jupiter energy. This is Venus in Sagittarius. So I include those people, right? I include the people I love, right? And I love everybody, at the end of the day, right? I'm going to find that love at the end of the day. But I'm going to embrace that relationship. I'm going to embrace that person, and I'm not going to feel responsible for them. I'm not going to feel like I need to change them. I'm going to look at this as a game. I'm going to accept me in that situation. I'm going to accept the fact that I can't change it. I'm going to accept the fact, I've been doing this, accept the fact that I can let go of it. I'm not responsible. I'm responsible for me. And I don't have to be upset about it. I can just be like, this is the situation. This is what's going to happen. And I'm okay with myself. I'm okay with stepping away. I'm okay with engaging with that person. And I also have this element of, I don't really know what's supposed to happen. I don't know why I'm going through this. I don't know why that person is going through it, but I have faith that there is something in the bigger picture of it that's going to come out and is going to be an experience where I gain more wisdom from it. And I grow from that experience, and I find more joy and peace and happiness. And with that stepping away, with that letting go, with that playing the game of just don't say anything mean, I've been able to find a peace and a freedom that I really, haven't been able to before. And that's the Venus and Sagittarius type energy. And then at the end of the week, we have, again, Mercury, Mars, Cazimi. So again, the sun is holding up as its special guest both Mercury and Mars in Libra, but it's toned by Venus and Sagittarius. So it is the more joyful, playful, get your hands dirty and be a child of life and be wild type energy. And it's just like reinforcing that message that we need to witness and create harmony with different perspectives. And look at things in a different way. And so the moon is going to be in Scorpio that day. So it's this energy of there might be like difficult emotions, demons coming up to be purged and healed. And so we might have this thought of why can't we let go? We might think of how people or events hurt us. That's devastating. But we might have things we realize that we look at that we'd never realized before. The real reason we can't find peace. We might think it's the other person, but it's something different. And it always has to do with that younger part of us that's really hurt. And can we look at that pain, right, that comes up and embrace it and let it come up and move forward? And also let go of it, not because it doesn't matter, but because we want peace. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're the only ones inside our minds, and we're the only ones that can be in peace inside of our head. And we want joy, we want love. And is there a way to look at it where we can pat our demons on the head and be like, it was nice to see you, but I have another party to go to. I need to go. And I'll tell you kind of a powerful experience that I had with this whole Mercury in Libra type energy and Mars in Libra type energy. So I do struggle from trauma, right? PTSD. And so I was having a moment I think it was last week. It was actually kind of close to that Mercury-Jupiter trine. But anyway, the point is, I was having a moment and I was having like a flashback, I guess is what you would call it, like symptoms. And so PTSD can be described as like walking into hell in your mind. It's like a full body experience of hell on earth, basically. All right. And it's terrifying. So I've come a long way with being able to calm myself down, relax, know in my head that I'm going to get out of it, even though it doesn't feel like that. Right. And so this energy happens, right? And I'm also in this aspect of creating peace, right? Not saying anything mean, not, trying to find peace. And so that ended up translating into peace within my mind because I was in that energy, right? This hellish type energy. And a thought came into my head that was like, if I can walk into this door to hell, there's also a door out of it. And in my mind, I saw this little door and I was still in that room. I was still in hell. But I could see the door out of it. And I started to relax and I started to change. And I've never even thought of that, but I saw this opening that was able to get me out. And so at the end of the day, that is Venus energy. That is the Mercury in Libra type energy. And Venus in Sagittarius is even going to add even more wisdom to that, right? When we're in that energy and we have these emotions come up. Don't assume that you really know how it's going to be. Like, even if you're in like, a bad experience, like I had like a trauma experience, don't assume that you really know that experience at all. That there is another way to look at it. There's endless ways to look at things. And so just open your mind to that there is another perspective. There's another door that can open in your minds that can lead you to freedom. So I'm going to pull some cards for the week to see what the advice is for this week. And I just want to get like what the energy of the week was, because it was a little confusing. It's like transformational energy, but really Pollyanna style, really like optimistic and joyful type energy. So let's see what we have here. Okay. So the energy of the week is like, we have the Two of Pentacles. So the Two of Pentacles is this like go, go, go energy. Like, let's do, like we can do everything. And this week it's about non-doing. So this is the energy of the week. It's that we're gonna like the energy of the week is about stepping back and looking at what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done, and really reflecting on that. Again, we have Mercury retrograde energy. So this is not a time of action. It's a time of reflecting on life. What needs to be done? What can we step away from? And it's like the energy is going to block, right, and prevent us from go, go, go. But we're going to be okay with it, because sometimes the best thing to do is not do anything and to step back. So that's a lot of like the initial, like what I'm getting for the energy for this week. And then I'm going to pull a card for advice for the week and how to deal with this energy, right? If we're like somebody that likes to keep busy, or we feel like this compulsion to like do and be productive all of the time. How do we deal with that? So we have the Queen of Wands here, and like the initial thing that I'm getting from this card is just to know that we have power, whether we do something or not. That even not doing something, not saying something, as that little game, just don't say anything mean, not saying anything, we can still find our power and we can still step away from that. And this is like also, the Queen of Wands is a person. And so this week we might come across somebody that has advice for us and some wisdom to us about stepping back. An example of someone that was able to step back and let go and find some peace and harmony and some confidence in themselves. Because the Queen of Wands believes in herself. She believes that she can do anything and overcome anything. And it's really this powerful, optimistic, feminine, exuberant energy. And so the advice is that we're going to have some inspiration, someone, a person, usually a female energy, mature woman, to come and inspire us. That there's going to be a person that actually helps us out by example or giving advice or by their actions, that's going to inspire us to just step back and have confidence in our power, and to have this confident, joyful, lovely, like feminine power that draws people in and is powerful because of its ability to maintain peace during chaos. Like if you can maintain peace during chaos, like that's like pretty good. Like I think of like, I used to volunteer as an EMT, my mom is a nurse, and you have doctors, and when they're in an emergency situation, they don't flip out, right? And how powerful is that? They're like, other people are like, how do you stay calm? There's power in staying calm when there's chaos. All right, so the final outcome of this week, interesting. So we're gonna have a lot of feminine energy and people like to help us along the way. So the outcome of the week is that we're going to come across a person that provides us like with this like feminine energy that is a good example of this like nurturing Venus energy that's at peace and at calm with their environment. Final outcome of the week is that we're going to have support. So I like that. With Venus and Sagittarius, it's usually like a pretty social energy. So Just looking at these cards to see like what else I'm getting. And yeah, so I feel like we're going to get a lot of support from people during the week. It's not just like this week where we're going to have to deal with things alone, but there's people that are going to come along the way, friends, mentors, even people you bump into like at the grocery store, at work, at the park, that are going to provide us with some support and that are going to be this pinnacle of feminine energy, this example of this beautiful power of the feminine energy of Venus. You know, I'm thinking of that Venus energy, that their ability to create peace and beauty and friendships, to be able to love people and accept them and find that silver lining with them. Um, and their ability to just create peace and harmony among chaos is going to inspire us. So we're going to find that support through inspiration from probably more so like a mature feminine person. And they're going to be an example to us and they're going to be there to support us. So it's either someone we know personally, it's going to be someone we come across. It might be someone we see like on TV or the news or like a movie even, or something we see, but we're going to have a good example. Like we're going to have a person, an actual like support from a person. So that's super exciting. I like the social energy going on here. And it's just going to be permission, this energy to step back. Don't try to do anything. Again, we're in this Mercury and Libra energy, so don't try to be productive. Remember to reflect on things. And remember there's power in stepping back and stepping away and not trying to do anything. Like that action of non-doing. Making a choice to not do something is a powerful choice, but make a game of it. Like it's also about having fun for a change and not making this transformation in a painful way, but make up a game, like the not saying anything mean game, but come up with your own game. Let me know in the comments what game you come up with. Something that you can choose to not do, that's hard for you, that you haven't been able to do before, but you want to do it in order to create some more peace. And it may be just like a little bit of a habit. It may be something that you do. It may be an argument that you get engaged in all the time, and you make the powerful choice to be able to step back from it, but you make a game from it. You're not doing it because it's the right thing. You're doing it because it's a game and you want to see what happens. All right, guys. So that's all I have for you for this week's Tarot and Astrology Forecast. Hope you enjoyed it. This is a reminder to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified if you like this video. I do this weekly Tarot and Astrology Forecast every single week. And I'll also put some videos I think you might like here. And if you found value in this video, make sure to share it out. Like, share the wealth. All right. Love you guys so much. Take care. Bye. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for whenever I release a new video every single week.